and welcome. Tonight, we have a more cerebral story. Please enjoy. I wake with the familiar smell of dirt in my nose. Flecks of the stuff dust my face and I sneeze. I use a grimy hand to wipe the grit away from my eyes, then stare up at a circle of bright blue sky, rimmed by the edges of the earth. Gradually, I understand that I am stuck in a deep hole, laying on my back. My ankle throbs as I push myself onto my elbows and glance down towards the pain. My left foot, now purplish red at the ankle, looks like it's trying to burst free from my sneaker. I hang my head and think about how, with this injured foot and the distance to the surface, I'm never going to be able to climb out of this hole. I yell, and hours or maybe days pass without anyone hearing me. Finally, as I sit staring at the side of the hole, I twist and tilt my neck. A satisfying series of pops releases my neck. But as it does so, a shadow falls across the opening of the hole, as a figure gazes down into it. My savior or my captor? Backlit by the sun, I can't make out the face of this person except that they are thin and holding a long walking stick the same width as the person's arm. Long hair spills down over thin shoulders. Then she speaks in a smooth voice. "You don't look like my usual dinner." With that, the figure disappears and I fall back into unconsciousness. The next time I open my eyes, I'm lying in a bed with soft white sheets pulled all the way up to my chin. An old-fashioned lamp burns low on a small wooden table next to me. Also on the table is a glass of water. But as I sit up to snatch the glass, my right foot halts. It's tied to the bed with a thick rope, while my injured left foot is free but wrapped in gauze. I forgo drinking the water, and instead, with my heart hammering, I focus on untying the thick, stringy rope keeping my foot tied to the bed. Just as I undo the first knot, the door opens, and a woman, presumably the same woman I saw looking down into the hole, enters my room. She's younger than I had originally thought, maybe mid-40s, with only a few laugh lines around her mouth. She stares at me with curiosity, tilting her head to the side and smiling slightly. Then she takes her stick and smacks my hands, which were still tugging at the rope. The blow hurts enough for me to pull my fingers back sharply, but not enough to injure me. She walks up to the bed and sits down. She takes the hands she had just hit and rubs them gently as she smiles at me. A warm, motherly smile. "Sorry about that. I didn't want you wandering off. You could further injure your ankle." She grabs a glass of water on the nightstand. "Drink your water. I know you're thirsty." A lump forms in my throat, and I cautiously drink only half the water, despite being so thirsty that even my eyeballs feel dry. The woman observes me closely. With great effort, I leave half the glass full and set it back on the nightstand, then lay back down. "That all you want?" the woman asks. I resist the tears that want to form in my eyes and nod. "Okay," she answers and takes the water away. As she does, I shout, "Wait, I'm still thirsty." She pushes her tongue against the inside of her bottom lip and takes a step back. "I think I'll bring you a different type of cup." Then she leaves. I bolt back upright in the bed, and my nails rip into the rope around my ankle, frantically tugging at the tight knots. In my head, I'm spinning over what had just happened. She knew, I tell myself. She knew I wanted to break that glass and cut her. I didn't allow my thoughts to stray towards what would happen next. A creak warns me that the woman was approaching the room again. I loosely tie the knots I had already undone and fall back onto the bed. She opens the door, a knowing look in her eye. In one hand, she holds a plastic cup, which she sets down on the wooden table. In her other hand is a thick metal chain and more gauze. I yank my foot away from the bedpost, hoping that somehow I'll have loosened it enough to get free. The motion sends pain shooting down my injured foot. Once again, the woman sits on my bed and rests one hand on my uninjured leg. Calm down. I don't want to hurt you. You're just hurting yourself. She takes the gauze and carefully wraps my uninjured leg from my ankle bones to my calf. Just then, something bumps the door open more, and a small, furry dog jumps onto the bed. I wince in pain, and the woman scolds, "Jerry, can't you see she's hurt?" The dog whines, and then lays down next to me with his head on my chest. I instinctively, yet awkwardly, pet him as I furrow my brow. "You have a dog?" She ignores my question and continues to cover my leg in gauze. "What do you want, Jessie?" I flinch as she says my name. She continues, "Your ID was in your pocket." I nod, lick my lips, and summon my courage. Then I say, "I want to be free." She finishes wrapping my leg and attaches one end of the metal chain around my ankle and the other to the bedpost. "Free to do what, Jessie?" "I don't know. Go back to my life?" She nods as she reaches towards the end of the bed and easily lifts the end of the rope off of the bedpost. I gasp and sit up on my elbows and then exclaim, "The rope was just in a loop around the bedpost?" She laughs and answers, "Yeah, you could have been free any time." Annoyed at myself, I release my elbows and lay back down. Jerry, the dog, readjusts himself, pushing his nose under my hand to get me to pet him again. "Yes, the rope was looped around the bedpost, but don't worry, you didn't know to look there." She squeezes my good foot and again leaves the room. Jerry follows her. As soon as she closes the door, I sit up straight and examine the metal clasp around my ankle and the chain leading to the bedpost. The gauze prevents the metal from touching my leg, but the chain is heavy. I lift part of it and my muscles bulge. I follow the links down to the end of the post, but this time, the chain is attached at the end of the bed. Holding the clasp around my ankle shut is a lock with a keyhole. Half-heartedly, I fish in my pockets for anything I could use to pick the lock, but there's nothing, and I knew there wouldn't be. With palms wide, I run my hands over the sheets. But I'm exhausted. Fear and anxiety use a lot of energy. Slowly, I sink back onto the covers and close my eyes. When I open them again, the woman is back, this time with a tray of food. She fluffs the pillow behind me to help me sit up and places the food tray before me. It's a soup and sandwich with more water. I pick up the spoon and poke at the green soup. "Asparagus," she says. I try it, and it's delicious. She narrows her eyes at me. "Did you even try to escape?" she asks. "I did," I answer, shoving the sandwich into my mouth. It's a BLT, with some of the best tomatoes I have ever tried. She picks up my old water cup, the plastic one I have already drained. Inside was the key. She shakes the cup and purses her lips at me. I'm scarfing down the food. Everything is so good. The woman speaks. "I'm glad you like the fruits of my garden." "You grew all this?" I ask, nodding towards the soup and sandwich. "More or less," she answers. "That's amazing," I reply. "Thanks. I just could use some company is all. I have the land and animals, but I lack human companionship. She reaches down with the key and undoes the clasp. I sit there looking from my free leg to the woman, and I suspect a trick. But instead, the woman seemed to sigh at my inaction and says, "I don't think you're ready to be free." As soon as she says this, my eyes grow heavy. Gently, I lay back against the pillows and fall asleep. When I open my eyes again, I'm back in the hole, and my whole body hurts. But you know what? It's not so bad. I'm used to it by now. Thank you so much for listening. If this kind of story is your thing, please check out the playlist on the screen now. See you in the next one.